And now we'll hear from Dr. J. Herbert Nelson, who is one of our leaders here in our Heads of Washington Offices group, affectionately known as HOWO. Dr. Nelson is the director of the Presbyterian Office of Public Witness, but I think most affectionately known in my heart as a man who preaches a truth from the gospel that touches my soul many times. Dr. Nelson.
Thank you, Sister Simone, and having an opportunity today to meet Rabbi Pencer and Hessner, and also to be reunited again with Maggie Siddiqui. It's good to be here also with you today. My name is J. Herbert Nelson, and I am the director of the Presbyterian Church U.S.A. Office of Public Witness here in Washington, D.C. Over the last several years, our church has expressed increasing concern over inequality in our society. In the Gospel of Luke, we Christians are taught that to whom much is given, much is also required. And as a faith coalition, you will hear that we are calling for reasonable revenue for responsible programs. And today, speaking for the General Assembly of the Presbyterian Church USA, I would add that the tax code is not only a way to make sure we have enough revenue to pay for the programs we think are important, but also it is a tool for reducing inequality and leveling society. The Presbyterian Church General Assembly issued a new statement on tax justice last year in which it said, paying taxes is a part of a set of moral obligations for a coherent social order. Those who have been blessed with abundance must contribute more to the good of all. The Assembly last year called this period we are living in a new Gilead age and said tax justice requires change if we are going to live faithfully to our conscience and to the ethical concern for the common good shared by all citizens. However, the recent events in the aftermath of Michael Brown's killing in Ferguson, Missouri, and Freddie Gray in Baltimore on yesterday revealed a sense of frustration in the disenfranchised community. I am led to define this moment of great economic disparity and deep-rooted systemic racism as the emergence of the new poor people's movement in the United States. The massive numbers of persons across this country that are marginalized in communities redlined from jobs, transportation, decent wages, education, and opportunities to achieve a decent standard of living are coming together in thought and common sympathies. On yesterday in Baltimore, we saw children take to the streets, looting and burning. Their actions represent a weariness of being taken for granted by people in high places who possess a majority of wealth, to carve out for themselves the greater portion of tax breaks and then pass the tax burden on to the poor. The ironic aspect of this struggle is witnessed last night and today on social media. Many former middle-class Anglo-Americans who lost their jobs during the recession and or returned to a workplace where jobs are downgraded after the recession are sympathizing with these children and adults who looted and who rioted yesterday. And although many struggle with the rioting based on their predisposition for peace, their concerns expressed are more germane to the absence of efforts to improve public education, establish a jobs program, strengthen a social safety net that helps workers who are not making an adequate wage so that they can pay more toward taxes without being driven to the ditches of economic despair. These much-needed building blocks within our nation can only be accomplished with a fair tax system at the roots of public policy. But this is not the case today. Just taxation is a key tool for enabling communities to thrive, for advancing science and culture, for sustaining democratic institutions, and for ensuring a strong social safety net that is there to catch people when they fall. Each citizen has an affirmative duty to contribute to the common good by paying their fair share of taxes. And I want to suggest today that this is both an ethical and economic case for a fairer tax code. The U.S. tax system is regressive. Poorer and middle-class households pay a higher proportion of their income, payroll, state and local taxes, including sales tax, at higher rates than those who pay lower tax rates on unearned income, like capital gains and carried interest. In other words, those who make their living through investments are taxed sometimes at a lower rate than those who work 40 hours per week, standing at a cash register or restocking shelves. Further, tax mechanisms like the estate tax that produce revenue from higher income households have unnecessarily weakened in a time of increased wealth disparity and excessive influence of private interests in public policy. And those who itemize their tax returns can take advantage of huge deductions that reduce their proportionate tax liability, while low and middle income families settle for standard deductions. This disparity in our tax code, the difference in the way we tax earned and unearned income, and the lack of overall progressivity, when you look at all the levied taxes, not just the income tax code, means that those with less in our society bear a greater proportionate tax burden than those who have more. This must be fixed. Just taxation is the foundation of a moral society's answer to poverty and its close relatives, inequality, economic insecurity, and social immobility. We do support, in many instances, credits like the Earned Income Tax Credit and the Refundable Child Tax Credit help ensure working people a living wage, both long-standing features of the tax code, supported historically by both liberals and conservatives. The need for this kind of investment is very great today, and the Earned Income Tax Credit, Child Tax Credit, or similar measures aimed at keeping working families out of poverty should be expanded, made fully refundable, and made permanent. And I believe that might be saying my time is up, intentionally or unintentionally. But let me say in closing that we do believe there are measures that this particular Congress can take to help rebuild the fiber of people's lives, but more importantly, can rebuild this nation in a way of awareness about what it means to live in community once again, and to form community and forge community, without having to take or rob from anyone to give to someone else. We're just simply saying we ought to pay our fair share, and that we ought to be reminded, as our gospel and the Christian faith informs us, that as we've done unto the least of these, my brothers and sisters, we've also done it unto our God and to ourselves. Amen.